Supreme Court justices, current and former, rarely give interviews, so when Sandra Day O'Connor agreed to talk to us, we caught up with her on Capitol Hill. She had just finished testifying before the Judiciary Committee on a subject of great importance to her, teaching civics, or I should say the lack of teaching civics, in our schools. Madam Justice, it is really an honor to have you. Thank you. I want to talk to you about this project that you devote so much of your time to now, iCivics.
Yes.
You're basically trying to help young people learn about the government. I was stunned to find out that so many states now, children no longer take civics courses.
Well, that was my concern. Now, when I went to school, I grew up on a remote ranch. My parents had to send me away to El Paso to live with grandparents to go to school. And I had civics every year. I got bored to tears with learning about Sam Houston and all those Texans, you know. Enough was enough, but we had a lot of civics. And today, half the states no longer make civics a requirement for young people.
Well, maybe
to get out of high school. I mean, that's pretty scary.
Maybe that's one reason that some surveys show that a third of Americans cannot name the three branches of government.
That's right. That's what the statistics show, which is appalling. Now, we have a lot of newcomers to the country, so maybe they don't. Unless, if they become citizens, they have to learn everything. In fact, most of our native-born Americans can't answer all the questions that we require of people from other countries who are becoming citizens. That's a hard test.
This project that you have launched, it's online. It provides lesson plans. It provides all sorts of aids.
And primarily games. That's what it consists of. Young people today spend on an average of 40 hours a week in front of a screen. It could be television and or computer. But 40 hours a week, that's huge. And I only need about an hour.
And how does one, if a teacher wants to get in on this, how do they do it?
They go on a computer and dial in www.icivics.org, little I, civics.org, like iPad, iPod, iCivics. And we have instructions for teachers if they want to use it as a course.
I want to ask you a little bit also about the court today. There are some surveys that show that respect, or at least admiration from the court, about the court, for the court, has dropped substantially.
In the past, when the public is asked about the three branches of government, the court has generally had, the judicial branch has had the highest respect among the three. And now it's about the same for all, and it's all down. So that's a great disappointment to me to see.
And
I'm sorry.
And a concern, I'm sure.
Yes, to me.
Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure. There's been some suggestion, again by poll takers, that that trend down for the judicial branch began with the Bush-Gore decision. That was one that was widely talked about at the time, as you know, and involved the public in a presidential election. And that could be something that triggered public re-examination.
Do you think that people thought it was too political, or the court had become too political? Is that?
I'm not sure, but I suppose that's part of it, yes. And of course, anytime you're deciding a case involving a presidential election, it's awfully close to politics.
Jan Crawford, who you know, has reported in recent days a deep divide that has developed in the court between John Roberts, the Chief Justice, and the other conservatives, because he surprised them by changing his position, according to her reporting, to become the deciding vote on upholding the president's health care law. Were you surprised at Justice Roberts?
No, not really. I mean, I don't have any information about the initial tentative votes taken at the court conference. I have not pried into it. I have not asked to be informed. Obviously, it was a close decision because at the end of the day, it was 5-4. So at the time of first discussion, it may well also have been a close decision. I expect it was. That was a hard case.
Well, what do you think that vote tells us about the court? Does this mean
Well,
this
it tells
court is
that
moving?
they don't always agree, and that's what it should be. For goodness sakes, that's why you have a court. And you have 9 members, so it's uneven. You're not going to split evenly. If they all vote, it can be decided 5-4.
Do you think it means, though, that the court is shifting more to the center, or is this just a one vote on one issue?
That is one important case in a political kind of a situation, and it came out the way it did. I don't think that indicates some trend on the part of the court, one way or the other.
You don't see this as John Roberts moving toward the center or becoming a liberal?
I don't see it at all. I see it deciding a very sensitive case with political connotations.
Can I ask you this? How
Sure.
would you have voted on that case?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you that if I knew. And I didn't read the briefs or hear the argument.
But you don't see this as having any impact, or
No.
we shouldn't read something
No.
into this?
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
No.
Justice Scalia said recently that stories like this are either made up or given out by people who violated the confidence, therefore they are unreliable.
Well, I'd accept his statement.
Would you agree with that?
Well, I just don't see how anybody would be in a position to know what was said. I don't, and I'm up there. I have an office. I'm close to him.
Sure.
I don't pry around and try to find out who said what when.
But again, you do not see this as having an impact or changing, the court's not changing in any way. This is one.
I don't see, this is one important case in a series of cases.
Some say that George Bush might have gotten off to a better start if the court, going back to Bush v. Gore, if the court had let the count continue, that he would have won without the court's decision, and many questioned the legitimacy of his victory after that. Now, you were the deciding vote in that case.
I don't see how you can say anybody was the deciding vote.
Well, okay.
They all counted.
They all counted.
Yes.
You have no regrets, I guess.
No, I mean, it was a tough deal in a closely fought election, and it's no fun to be part of a group of decision makers that has to decide which side the ball is going to fall on.
You were critical of the Citizens United decision.
I dissented.
Do you think the coming of these super PACs has hurt our political system?
It hasn't helped, put it that way.
It hasn't helped.
No.
What do you think of the current state of the country? There's obviously a great divide in the country right now. Do you think our political system is broken?
No, it's not broken, but I hope we go beyond this and move on to areas where we are in greater agreement than we have been on some issues. I hope that will be the case.
Do you think this Citizens United decision had something to do with the divide we're seeing right now?
I don't know. I can't. You're in a better position to evaluate it perhaps than I am, but I hate to see us politically closely divided over some period of time. I don't think that helps the country. So perhaps we'll move on to a stage of fewer basic disagreements.
You and I are kind of in the same stage of life here. A lot
Yes.
of our contemporaries.
Getting older.
Retired,
Yes.
gone on to do
Yes.
other things.
Yes.
You are still making a difference. What is your advice to people in our demographic group?
Well, if you feel like I do and you want to be involved and not bored to tears, stay busy and do something worthwhile. We presumably have a little of life's experiences behind us, so maybe we can make a valid contribution. I hope so. And I encourage people who want to do it to stay involved.
Well, you certainly are. That is for sure. Madam Justice, it's a pleasure to have you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. And we'll be back in a minute.